So we also have some news about whether or not there is going to be another Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump debate. Kamala Harris has accepted a debate invitation. Let's put this up on the screen. She says she will gladly accept a second presidential debate on October 23rd. I hope Donald Trump will join me. He seemed to be at a rally less receptive to that. It's a CNN debate invitation, by the way. Fox News, I think, had also invited them to a debate, but she specifically accepted the CNN debate invitation. He seemed less amenable to doing another debate anywhere. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
And they would like, just announced a little while ago as I was coming off the plane, they would like to do another debate. Although, good entertainment value. A lot of people say, oh, do it, it's great entertainment. I've already done two. One with Crooked Joe Biden at CNN and the other one with Kamala on ABC. CNN was very fair, I thought. Joe was driven out of the race. It was a coup, by the way, but he was driven out of the race. And they've been widely criticized by the radical left lunatics for all of the fairness. They were very fair. In other words, they won't be fair again, because they took a lot of abuse from the radical left. ABC was 3-on-1, but I was given credit for having done a very, very good job. I appreciate that. We did a great job. It was 3-on-1. The problem with another debate is that it's just too late. Voting has already started. She's had her chance to do it with Fox. You know, Fox invited us on, and I waited and waited, and they turned it down. But now she wants to do a debate right before the election with CNN because she's losing badly. You know, it's like a fighter. She sees the pulse. She sees what's happening. She's losing badly. But it's like a fighter who goes into the ring and gets knocked out. The first thing he says is, I want a rematch. I want a rematch.
All right.
You know, it's funny because he undercuts himself a little bit here by saying that CNN was like very fair to him.
Yes.
Since this is the radical left is criticizing them for all the fairness, is what he says. But this is another CNN debate invitation. So if they were so fair last time, why not do another one? And it is kind of perplexing to me because I do feel like he would very likely improve his performance over last time. The race is 50-50. He's got a very good shot at winning, right? But he also has very clearly failed to define her in a negative way. You know, her favorability rating has gone up a lot, and they have not really been able to ding that effectively. So it was another shot for him to sort of dirty her up. From her perspective, too, I understand why she wants to do it again, because it went really well for her last time, and she did get a bump in the polls after the debate, somewhat of a bump in the polls after the debate. So if you do another one and you have a similar result and you draw him out and bait him in the way you did the first time around, you've got another chance to, get a little bit of a bump in the polls coming into Election Day. So in my opinion, the logic for both of them, given how close the race is that they should have another debate, but it's looking unlikely given Trump's now repeated comments that he's not interested in one.
Absolutely. And I think Trump really should have done another debate because also something we just talked about with our election forecast segment and previously was that most people who are swing voters, and I know this sounds anathema, they don't make up their mind until very shortly before the election. An October 23rd debate would be good for Trump because that is when the country is dialed in. I mean, these long campaigns, I know everybody is sick of them, but unless you are a real political animal, most people don't pay any attention until statistically about 3 weeks before Election Day. So you want to have those debates were scheduled there for a reason because that's when the most people were paying attention. That's when the stakes are the highest. That's when you could confront the possibility of the October surprise and you get to respond and all that. And the problem for Trump right now is his overall profile level is down. So for example, we're going to talk a lot about this tomorrow, but looking at data just this morning that shows that the amount of rallies that he is doing today versus 2016 significantly down. I mean, I'm talking orders of magnitude. That's so right. His ability to take over the news cycle is different. He's not the novel character that he was. In 2020, at least he was the president and it was COVID. So people were glued to their phones. Right now, he's less in control of the cycle than ever before. Now, this actually could be to his advantage. So let me give the bull case for what he's doing. The overall polling I'm looking at on splits say that people think Kamala is too liberal and they don't view Trump as too conservative. I'm not saying that that is correct. I'm saying that's what people say.
Yeah.
So you don't want people to remember Trump in a recent light. You want to remember him in a fond, like, hey, gas prices were low under Trump.
Yeah, you want the rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, the more recent New York Times polling, the #1 reason for Trump's strength in all the Sun Belt states, which are the most economically dynamic, is I felt like I was better off under Trump. Then Trump today doesn't matter. Kamala is the only thing he should remain a flashpoint. So I could make the case either way, but Trump is a very skilled debater. He's a good politician. I want him out there if I'm on his team. And also leaving it to the last word now goes to JD and to Tim Walz. Why would you ever want to give the last word to your vice presidential candidates?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense because it's not about you.
Right.
You know?
And JD Vance has of all the candidates, he has the lowest favorability rating. So he's like, the weakest part of your campaign to put out there. I mean, he's fine on cable news as an attack dog, but yeah, in terms of like actually winning people over for the campaign, that's a different story. I think in some ways we kind of overthink this with Trump. The rally data really points to it. I think he's just, he's older. Like,
no, it's possible.
He doesn't want to do as much. Even his own aides in the article about how his rallies are done, like, yeah, he wants to spend more time in Mar-a-Lago. He just doesn't want to do them as much, And look, relatable, I'm sure, especially given how old he is at this point. But I think that's a big part of it. The first one didn't go well. He got outside, directly counter to what he says about how great he did and how she lost and it was, terrible for her, et cetera, et cetera. The polls overwhelmingly showed, even among Republicans, many Republicans also thought that he lost. The one part of it that came out of it that he thought apparently was a win was like the Haitian pets thing, which at least made the news cycle into something that he had said, but this also did not end up being a positive or good story for him or something that, for him to focus on that moved the campaign forward. So, I think it didn't go well for him. He didn't enjoy the experience and he just doesn't want to do it again. To me, it's kind of what it comes down to because from a campaign logic rationale, unless you really are so convinced that it's going to go just as poorly for you second time around as it did the first time, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. So the other thing is, Kamala gets to say, she gets to look tough. Like, listen, I said I would do it and he won't do it. It really negates all the conversation, the very legitimate critique of her that, she still isn't really doing interviews. She isn't doing press avails, et cetera. She's been very closed off to the press. Tim Walz, too, which I don't understand because I thought the whole reason you put this man on the ticket is because he's great on cable news. He's also been largely hidden from the press. But it really takes the focus on that because it gives the vibe of like, oh, well, she wants to go out there and engage in the democratic process. He's the one who's hiding and doesn't want to do the debate. So if I were her, I would also say, hey, yeah, we'll even do the Fox News debate if you want. I'm open to that as well.
I agree.
And call his bluff because I think he's just set on, I don't want to do anymore. Period, end of story. And we saw that in his Fox News interview where he was like, well, I don't want the Fox News moderators to be Martha or Brett. I would want them to be like Jesse Waters and Sean Hannity, which obviously is never
That's why I would have called
happen.
the Fox News bluff in particular because Brett Baer and Martha McCallum, like, look, you can think what you want. Are they right-leaning? Yeah, but they're not bad. They've moderated a decent amount of debates. I've watched them.
They would do totally
fine.
fine.
They would do a fine enough job.
Yeah.
And look, I've seen Brett press Trump before, and Trump can get himself into actually some serious issues. So my point is that it would put him in, it would rhetorically be a good move for her. Overall, this shows the weaknesses of both of these candidates. Trump is just all over the place. He does whatever he wants. But I also think Kamala is very risk averse in only agreeing to this. So for example, Tim Walz has done less interviews than even Kamala Harris. Kamala is doing, what she's done, I believe 2 or 3. She's done, according to Axios, the least amount of interviews of any major candidate in modern American history. Trump, at the very least, does these press conferences or he's doing random stuff. Everyone's Cheryl Atkinson or whatever, all this. Look, I'm not saying it's great, but it's something, and they last for 45 minutes, and even when the interviewer is friendly, interesting stuff sometimes comes out of it. I think she, at the very least, should be doing something like that, but they are very, very risk-averse, probably an inheritance of the Biden team. I could be wrong,
true.
but overall, this is bad for America and because now the election will be litigated through proxies and worse, through ads. Ads are a terrible way to experience politics. Kamala Harris wants to, do this. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance want to destroy this country. It's the worst possible way to actually engage with elections, and I think it leaves a lot more up to chance when you would have a lot more control. Like we just spoke with Logan about, the reason that Kamala did well in the state of Pennsylvania relative to every other battleground state is because more people in Pennsylvania watched the debates than any other state per capita. There's a lesson in that. There's risk and reward. That's what politics ultimately really is about. And right now, both of them are taking the most risk-averse strategy.
Which is crazy because neither one of them can afford that.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Kamala's being very risk-averse on the media. On the debate, she's being more bold. And I just cannot understand why they are not using Tim Walz as more of an asset on cable news. Because that, again, is like how he got the job. She didn't really know him. He went out on cable news. He said the weird thing. People loved it. They were like, sharing all his clips. He was really great at it. Quick on his feet, even when he got asked things that were a little bit challenging about his agenda being too liberal or whatever. He was very talented at it. So, okay, you've got this asset on your side that you put on the ticket. Like, why are you hiding him? That part doesn't make any sense to me. Hiding her makes a little more sense to me because she can be more unsteady in these interviews. She's more of a cautious politician. She's more uncomfortable in unscripted settings. So far, they've done a really great job of protecting her from any moments that would be a train wreck from her. So I'm not saying it's good. It's not good, obviously, for democracy. It's a terrible precedent to set. It's one that was, in some ways, already set by Biden back in 2020. When he did so little over the excuse of the pandemic, she's carrying that mantle forward and basically betting that she can get away with it. And it may be the correct bet, but the Tim Walz piece just strategically makes really no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, the whole thing is very risk averse. It's very much like, I want to make sure that everything is very tightly controlled. The Oprah event is a good example.
Yeah.
It's a fake interview, and it's not even particularly good. So you got to put yourself out there. We got to see what happens. In general, it's bad for America to only have one debate, on the issues, et cetera. The feedback, actually, if you look at that debate, Krystal, was for some of the independent voters who weren't swayed by Kamala were like, all I saw was performance and I didn't see substance. That's a lesson. People are look, many people often lie about what they really want whenever it comes, but
True.
I do believe them whenever they say, I want to feel as if there is more substance behind them. Whether they believe the substance or want any of that,
right?
It's that's dubious.
I mean,
but
they did put like the literal performer in chief, Donald Trump, into the White House. So
that's
the
what I mean.
performance does sell, but anyway.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.